Joining me now is a UFC Hall of Famer. He's a two-time UFC tournament champion, and he is a super fight champion as well. It is the beast himself, Dan Severn, back on the program. Dan, it's been a little bit, just over a year to be exact. How are you? Thank you very much for the time.
Well, Nick, if it's been over a year, I'm a year older and hopefully a year wiser. That's out to jury at this point in time. But no, life is good. I
Excellent.
continue to do a vast variety of things.
That is great to hear. And one quick question. I know, so for anybody listening and who might be wondering what we're going to talk about, a lot of it will be, as you know, I talked to Ken Shamrock, who is a former opponent of yours, twice, and I talked to him and he said some certain things that you would like to comment on. But before we get to that, I recall when I talked to you back in October of 2016, you had an MMA event coming up, I think maybe just a month or two from then. How did that all go? I know it's been in the past for almost a year now, but just sort of walk me through how did that all play out?
I about I'm trying to figure out what you asked about me this October event. Are you talking about for my company wise?
You were putting on some
Okay,
event.
So just by saying it, yes. I was putting on a mixed martial arts event that
Yes.
took place in Fort Wayne, Indiana. A huge success. I have had my own MMA company. I think since around '95 is when I started the Danger Zone MMA company, and it was during the no holds barred era. So it was just during that era where you only had to abide by two rules: just no biting, no eye gouging. And you had the Ultimate Fighting Championships. You had a lot of fighting type of names. And to me, it's like going, I was looking for the marketability, so I came up with the name Danger Zone. And then make it more specific. And this we'll just call this. Well, I added the MMA after MMA became the term. It was still that NHB, otherwise known as no holds barred, during that time frame. So, but I wanted people to realize that you climb inside that cage, there are only two things people can do to you: fight you and stick a finger in the eye socket. And you better have some skill set, and you better have some cojones to you, because it's not for the faint of heart. And even now, when you fast forward, 22 years now, the sport has been around, and is now known as mixed martial arts. You still better not be the faint of heart, because the athletes are much more skilled all the way around now, as opposed to a lot of the one-dimensional athletes that stepped in way back when, and I throw myself in that same category, where you had a straight-up boxer going up against a jiu-jitsu practitioner, or a judo practitioner going up against a taekwondo, and the list goes on. So you saw styles and disciplines versus each other, and now instead of advance 22 years later, the match starts on his feet. So you better have some striking ability, either knowing how to do it offensively or knowing how to defend it, and you better have some kind of grappling ability, because clinches are going to take place, takedowns are going to take place. So you better be the best of both worlds.
Yep, for sure. Well, anyways, good to hear that your event last year was a success, and I guess, are you putting on more and more, or is it going to be a
Oh yeah,
recurring
no,
thing?
I think this past year alone, I believe we've held I think it was 5 shows,
Okay,
and
awesome.
so we're gaining more momentum, and most of them were just down in the Fort Wayne, Indiana area, just to work out the bugs because of the new rule that basically I'm pushing through, and gearing the new rule really towards amateur. I plan on going into amateur and pro level, eventually doing blended cards, pro-am cards, but predominantly I will always be working with the amateurs, and then entry level for some of these pro guys. Some of the same amateurs I think that are ready to grow, then I'll be probably debuting a lot of the pro matches, and then be kind of like a farm club to a UFC and to Bellator and whoever else that may look for some aggressive finishing style athletes.
Awesome. Well, glad to hear that your promotion is going good and going well. That's certainly great to hear. Now, let's move on and talk about Ken Shamrock. Of course, I talked to Ken Shamrock at the very end of October. He was actually in town, Winnipeg, up here in Manitoba, Canada, for the Comic-Con. He was promoting a new comic book, and that is why he was here. So I had the chance to talk to him, and he said some things I suppose you weren't too thrilled about. Basically, just to give the listeners context, since I know you already have listened to the interview or read it or wherever or whatever. So he said that you are dying for a fight. So, according to him, you are really wanting to fight, and you are one of the few people he would fight. So basically, the angle I took as far as my article goes is that he could fight, he might fight, but it's not super on the priority list. He has some things to take care of first. But if he's going to fight, it's probably going to be you, Royce Gracie. Those are the two names that really stand out for him.
We're going to have yet another Royce Gracie Ken Shamrock fiasco?
I suppose. That's according to him.
Okay.
So,
well, the only thing that, again, I'll let you finish up there, Nick, before I jump in, that's all.
I was just going to say, and he also mentioned briefly about how he wasn't a fan of you going after him after he was forced out of the Your Fight one card. That fight you guys were supposed to fight in March of 2016, and that fight was canceled. Initially, it was reported that Shamrock was hurt, but I guess because of the drug suspension he had from the Royce Gracie trilogy fight in the month prior, he was actually pulled from that card and not able to fight you at Your Fight. So when you looked at this, when you either listened or read the interview, what is it that you're specifically not in favor of? What isn't right? What do you want to clear up, so to speak? And what ultimately led us to doing this interview?
Well, I mean, honestly, Nick, I'd say the whole article should have been scrapped. Just on the sheer premise that Ken Shamrock and my match was set up way before he ever agreed to take a match with Royce Gracie. Where there were letters of intent that were already signed, he already took a deposit of money to ensure that he would be there on that date. And even when he was starting to flirt with he was going to be making an announcement coming on up, I was simply assuming he was going to be announcing our upcoming match. And lo and behold, he announces that it's going to be a match against Royce Gracie, and it's going to be now with the company of Bellator instead of this UR network. So I'm the guy that actually had contacted the UR network to say, do you guys realize Ken just made an announcement that he's going to fight in another promotion on a Friday night, and this UR network was always slated for that Sunday. I can't give you the exact dates, but that's the distance apart, 2 days. And I'm like, you guys might want to contact Ken and find out, because otherwise it's going to screw up all what you're doing, because you guys put on a show takes a lot of work, and there's a lot of money that gets invested into a show. So the representative I spoke to did call Ken, and Ken basically said that he just told the company, well, why don't you move your show back by 1 week? And he says, I'll fight Ken. He says, no, I'll fight Royce Gracie one weekend, and I'll fight Dan Severn the following weekend. Does Dan Severn have a problem with that? I mean, he just said it rather arrogantly, is what I was told. And I'm like going, no, actually, Dan Severn does not have a problem at all with this, but Mr. MMA company, or wannabe MMA company, because the UR network did a really crappy job at a lot of things, but they're not in that wheelhouse of being an MMA company. They're just a social media company, and they do the things. And I basically had to hold their hand on almost everything there in order to get it through. But the whole point here is that, I had to tell the UR network, you know, you might want to move it back further than 1 week. If Ken Shamrock so much as gets a hangnail, it's a minimum of a 30-day suspension. So they take the advice, they move it back by a month, which doesn't exactly go well with me, because I'm thinking if you gave your word, you should take and do the first match. So, but anyway, fast forward, he does his match, and he does get, I think, injured, at least so he says, by getting kneed in the groin. But then on top of that, he also tests positive for not only steroids, but also for opiates. Which, I mean, all that really means is he might be on some painkillers, because they usually are very heavily opiate-type based. But he tests positive on 2 controlled substances. And it's not his first time testing positive. So, usually the first time they slap your hand, and you could go stand in the corner for a certain length of time. Well, when it becomes your second violation, well, you have to go stand in the corner a little bit longer. So I'll just say that, I don't care what the guy says. It's just a bold-faced lie. If he wants to say that, he couldn't do the match because, he got injured. Not only did he get injured, but he tested positive for 2 different controlled substances, but also the fact that he had already agreed to do another match before then. Now, am I going to stick around forever for a turd like that? No. My life will move on. I'm older than Ken. I'm the oldest guy. I'm the statesman of the sport. So, will I wait around and for him? No. If he ever gets his head out of his proverbial ass, I might consider the match. But at this point in time, nope. Will I continue to bury him? Oh, you bet. But I don't look at it as I buried him. I look at, Nick, I'm just buried him with the facts. Don't say the match. I couldn't do the match because I got hurt. I didn't do the match because, I tested positive for steroids. I didn't do the match because I tested positive for opiates. What excuse does he want to go with? If he wants to say that, the organization didn't want me, that he went out on a limb for me, the whole 9 yards, I go, what the doo-dah. Obviously, they did, and I stepped up to the plate, and I was there. And where was he? In the story. That's all. He can go off and crawl or whatever rock he wants. That's fine. But let the truth be known why you're going to crawl off underneath that rock.
Although I do want to clarify you on one thing. From what he told me, it sounded like it was the commission who did not allow him. It didn't sound, and again, everything is subjective, but from what he said, it didn't sound like he chose not to fight you because of the low blow in the Gracie fight or because he tested positive. From what he said, it sounded, and this seems to be, I would think this is true, because commissions, go ahead.
No, you're just, it was less than 30. It was our match was lit like 30 days or less, exactly. And again, there's a couple of excuses that never been bombarded out there was the fact that he tested positive for this, and because of the injury, and to me, it's like it didn't matter what excuse. It was they're all just excuses. You can say whatever you want. I mean, the reality is, if you want to make a big bold claim like you'll fight Voice Racing one weekend and you're going to fight the Severn following weekend, well, be a man and actually do it. I tell you, I'm so bold. I would fight the 2 of them in the same night. And okay, and I'm saying that to you, Nick, but I live up to my word. And you heard it here. I would do them both in the same night. Sad part is, I won't ever get either one of those sad sacks.
It might be tough to get the commission to approve that as well.
Yeah, don't have to do it in the United States either now, do we?
Maybe Japan.
There's other places you can still go to that would warrant a match like that, and that would not ever test Ken, so they could go and do all the little chemicals he wants.
So why do you think Ken Shamrock did not? So your opinion is that he did not want to fight you, and that is why the fight in March of last year did not happen. Is that
no,
just...
No.
Okay.
No. I didn't say that.
Okay.
I said the reason the fight did not take place. He might have still wanted to fight, but he violated rules. Or
True. Yes.
First off, he says that he got injured, and then it tests positive for 2 different substances. So to me, it's like that's just called stupidity. I mean, I don't know what else to call it. He still might want to fight, but it's kind of going, wow, But, if we're going to do it in a state that's going to be run by an athletic commission.
Right. You're faulting him for being booked already and then choosing to use a banned substance.
No, not booked already. He was already slated. He was first slated to do the match with me. Okay, so yes. Okay, so I just want to make certain that there's no fault in him. I mean, he was, I hold him accountable for the fact that he had already given his word and already had taken money and already signed an LOI, letter of intent.
But in a way, you're still blaming Ken Shamrock because the fight didn't happen.
Oh, exactly. And it's all because of him. It didn't happen.
It's because he took a banned substance.
Well, yeah. Exactly. Banned substances, 2 different banned substances.
Right.
Steroids is one item, and opiates is something else. But then on top of the injury angle there too, to where, was he injured? I don't know. He could say he was. They do tell you to wear cups and stuff like this.
Right, fair enough. Is there anything else you want to say about Shamrock?
No, I don't think the celebration even last as long as it did, but I just wanted to simply I got nothing wrong with the guy can go up and make his own buck, but don't badmouth me. Just tell the truth. That's all. Just tell the truth.
Right, and
be a big boy and take your own lumps, and then go stand in the corner for a while, and then they'll let you come up and play again.
Well, and they have his suspension ended in February.
What's that?
I just said, and they have let him come and play, as you would say. His drug suspension ended in February, so he is, as of right now.
Yeah, you say February of 2017. He was off his suspension.
Yes, he was suspended from February 2016 to February 2017, if I'm not mistaken.
See, I did not even know that. Not that I really even made a hill of beans. It's not like he was trying to get that match back with me by any means. I guess he can't be too mad at me rubbing his face in the truth.
Right, he is eligible.
And that's okay. To me, it's like I've got no problem with this too. I mean, life goes on, and it's not like everything is always going to go right for everyone in this world. Well, as long as he just tells the truth, I'm okay with it. But if he wants to try to lash out and hit me with some just bold-faced lies, well, I'm going to correct them.
Right, fair enough. And as far as you go, I know you said earlier that you're not clamoring to fight Ken Shamrock. That's not super high on the priority list.
No, it's actually not even on the list really probably at all anymore. I mean, sure. after that, it's kind of like, because I wasted 5 months of my life.
Yeah, that's a good point. What is next for you? Do you want to fight again?
Oh, would I only against a couple people? Would I do something like that? A Hoist Gracie or Ken Shamrock, if it was to happen? But am I waiting around for any of these guys? No. I've talked to the people. They've given me eloquent answers, beating around the bush to the point that, no, it's not going to happen.
So when you say
too much to be lived.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, the hoist racing match will never take place just because of just too much to be lost by doing the match with me. And the Ken match, it won't take place. You just, neither one of these two cats are aging all that well.
Sure. You say you don't want to wait around for them.
Well, I'm not going to. I mean, again, I'm just doing this interview. Just let's just tell the truth.
Clear the air. Yes.
That's all it's for. I mean, I plan on starting my next career in 2018.
What will that be?
Well, I'll let that kind of come unfolded. It's you can't just reveal Santa Claus's identity all the time. Come on, I've got Santa Claus, Christmas coming up, Thanksgiving tomorrow. Can't just reveal everything right now. I've got something for people to look forward to. It's to give you timetables. I think we did this one before. I started my amateur wrestling career in 1969. I started teaching the sport by 71, and I won my first national title in 72. And you simply do go from 72 to from 1972 by 1976, I'm the number one recruit as a senior out of high school. I can go to any college I want to, and I've got the academics that go along there with it. Okay, then that's by 76. By 1996, let's jump 2 decades later. I'm the number one cage fighter in the world. It's I've already spanned over 4 decades of competition, and I don't have a whole lot of losses to my name. But and I expect to jump into my next profession, and I'll do this for the next couple of years, and then who knows what I'll do after that. You might see me at these senior master AAU track and field events, going out there, 3 strands of gray hair on top of my head, and a gray mustache, running down doing the 100-yard dash, or throwing a shot put or discus or something like that.
Yeah, at least with that, you don't have to take punches to the head, so that's good.
Yeah, well, but there's other things that you can be doing that are still, it's that mano type of thing.
Right, for sure. As far as you fighting again, how likely with this thing, this profession that you're not going to reveal right now coming up next year, how likely, if you were going to say scale to 1 to 10, how likely is it do you ever fight in MMA again?
Oh, I would rate that very low. Again, because I really only want 2 people. And
neither are available or want to fight.
Yeah, but how do you put the choke collar on them and so that they follow through? That's why I say that's why I say that. What is the likelihood? Very, 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 very small that'll ever happen. But it might happen in a different arena.
What do you mean by that? Gotta ask you.
We're gonna end it on that note. It might happen in a different arena.
What about, I know maybe not as far as a potential fight or what have you, but what are your thoughts in general, and maybe competing for them, Rise and FF over in Japan? Do you know much about them?
I missed part of what you said, but go ahead.
I just said, what do you know as far as, I don't know, again, you said just a second ago, it doesn't seem likely you'll ever fight again. If you do, what about Rise and FF, or even just in general? Do you know much about, they're a fairly new...
It could be, stuff could be done in Rise. There's actually some, there's a great promotion down in Australia that just recently was acquired by a Chinese corporation. Even the Chinese have got their own MMA. So to me, that's what I said. It doesn't have to happen here in the United States. And then, Ken can play with all the little, all the little drugs he wants to. I still, if that match was going to take place, even unfortunately, part of my agreement will always be I want both parties drug tests, even though it will have no bearing. But I just want people to know that Dan Severn still stepped into the cage at whatever age, 60, still chemical-free.
But you wouldn't care if, say you fight Ken, and I know it probably won't happen, but anything can happen. Say you fight Ken, you both get drug tested, he comes out positive, you don't care. You just want for people to see. Right.
Exactly. I just, I don't care. But I at least want people to know that Dan Severn stepped out there as a legitimate athlete on his own ability. And that's what I could continue to say is that I can look myself in the mirror and know that I have achieved all my success on my own ability. I didn't have to pop a pill. I didn't have to stick a syringe in my tuchus. So that speaks volumes of the character of the person I am and what I preach. Now, don't get me wrong here. Steroids are a great tool when used in different types of industry. I mean, if you were about to go through some heavy bouts of chemo or something like this, more than likely they're going to be hitting you with all kinds of steroids because the chemo practically kill you. If they didn't put you on the steroids to help build your body up that much stronger, you'd never survive a chemotherapy treatment, series of treatments. So there's a place for everything. It's even, okay, we think about marijuana. I would have been highly anti-marijuana type of a person, but because of the knowledge I've acquired through of what CBD oil can do for people, I'm very much pro CBD oil, but it's not the THC element of marijuana, and which most smokers are looking for the high. Well, that's the THC element of it, but the CBD oil, it does work so many wonders for people that I am all for it. Plus the hemp plant, there's a lot of uses for the hemp plant.
Yep, absolutely.
And not just that you're going to roll it up and smoke it.
But there are UFC fighters today that support, CBD oil. They use it for inflammation and things like that, recovery.
Yeah. Well, it is. I mean, but for kids that have seizures, I mean, it's the stuff that it does, and yes, for one of the projects I worked with a group of men out in Arizona. It's they basically it's KB3. It deals with the hyperbaric chamber, the EECP machine, and CBD oil. It's great for soldiers that return that have traumatic brain trauma. It works for athletes like sports, especially the pugilistic sports that have a lot of brain trauma and things of that nature. It's for it does so many good things for it. Just the combination, because the ECP machine is all about circulation of blood and get into a hyperbaric chamber where you're being oxidized, at 90 some odd percent. Oxygen is the healing properties of those three elements are phenomenal. So you'll hear more and more about the KB3 program through the course of 2018. Rest assured that the beast will stay busy and helping people in lots of different areas.
I want to go back and to that March 2016 date when you were supposed to fight Shamrock and then Tank Abbott at UR Fight. You mentioned earlier in this interview that a lot of what UR Fight / Network, whatever you want to call them, didn't really work out too well. They put on the event, but I know they were also thinking about at least doing another show, and nothing has come out of that. What specifically did they not do so well?
Well, I mean, just point back. It was a non-mixed martial arts company that knew none of the elements of how to put on a show. I mean, I'm the guy that found them their state to go to. I found them their venue. I found them their athletic commission to work with. I actually spoke with the commissioner and to make certain that would they, well, before it was ever finalized, to make certain that the use of a professional wrestling ring would be allowed. Now think about it. You go to any state right now, and to see if they would allow, I doubt it. And but it was because of my relationship with these people, knowing that if something really went wrong with the show, they really weren't going to be looking at the UR Network people. They were going to be looking at me. And so then to be shut out of that show, that really galled me on top of that.
So you weren't okay having that weight on your shoulders, sort of having that responsibility?
Well, of course I was, because I mean I go by my word to talk to people. Just even finding a company that can bring in the professionals ring. Like I said, it's for all intents and purposes that was my show because of all the people I brought together. Now I did not bring, whoever they did. I can't even remember who the musician was at the end there, but that was in the ring there. But I had nothing to do with that, but everything else. So, like I said, finding the venue, finding the state, finding the athletic commission that would allow this 4-ring type of well, I call it 4-ring circus. I mean, maybe that might not be the word, but there was 4 different things that would take place. You had a submission grappling match, you had an MMA match, you had a boxing match, and then you had a professional wrestling match. 4 different backgrounds. And even the UR Network, they just wanted to do just the 4 matches. I went, this show might last all of, a half hour? And you want to charge people how much for a ticket? I had to advise them on ticket prices. And then I even had to bring in another gentleman to help put together an undercard. Because I'm thinking, you better have at least another, 6 or 8 matches maybe for the undercard. And then go into your 4 matches because, people are going to be kind of pissed if they're paying $100 for a ticket and that, just for 4 matches.
Do you know how well it ended up doing pay-per-view wise?
No, I never received any of the official numbers of pay-per-view or how many people bought tickets. That was all UR Network information.
Have you ever heard back from UR Network regarding a second show, regarding anything? Have you heard from them since March of last year?
Oh, I've been in contact with them on a number of different occasions, but it was always me prodding them, not the other way around.
And that was regarding a fight?
Well, because just people's their word. That's where they're just some people that they'll never get a Christmas card out of me.
Did you schedule? I know you said you did so much for this, finding the commission, the venue, etc., etc. Were you responsible for finding the other matches, or was that all on them, like Roy Jones Jr.? Okay.
No, that was all with the UR Network. They're the ones that basically found the 4 main events. You can call it the 4 main events.
Sure.
So no, I just basically would help them get a matchmaker just to put together some type of an undercard. But then even one of the undercard matches had to be moved to the main event because now my match ended up getting canceled 9 days before. After Ken dropped off, then there was the hunt for somebody else, and again, this is just kind of comical, but UR Network, they were throwing different names at me, and I go, well, one name that they threw against me, I go, you do realize that he is deceased. It would be kind of a lopsided match that night. But again, that's why I say it's a company that really knows nothing about, or I should say, knew nothing about. I think they learned some things about mixed martial art that night, and maybe that's one of the reasons why they don't want to do another show. Possibly, I don't know all the reasons, or maybe it just did not turn out to be the success that they were hoping for. I think there's probably a combination of things of why they probably won't do it again.
Did I hear you correctly that they asked you if you wanted to fight a person that was no longer with us?
One of the potential crimes. They were reeled off some different names, and
Wow,
one of them
that is
was against someone that I had to tell them that that gentleman is deceased.
that is incredible. What was you? I mean, I could imagine.
Nick, I've been around long enough to where I've already outlived 5 of my cage fighting opponents and almost 30 of my professional wrestling partners, and none of them are older than me, but it's called lifestyle choices. Now, none of us, including you there, my young Nick, are going to get out of life alive. It's how long did you stay in the game and how much fun did you have along the way? And I want to live the life of probably half a dozen men. I plan on living the life of another half a dozen men before I cash it in. At least that's what my game plan is. But then that's why I continue to try to do things that's healthy for me. I try to do some type of a workout almost on a daily basis and trying to eat somewhat right, although we're talking about this and tomorrow at Thanksgiving, well, the beast might kind of go off the wagon tomorrow. Underneath the influence of tryptophan, yes, I might be rather sleepy on the couch, pretending I'm watching a football game.
Happy Thanksgiving, by the way, tomorrow, just because I know I'm up in Canada, so we had Thanksgiving last month, but happy Thanksgiving
really? Okay.
to you.
Well, I appreciate that. No, it's there are certain holidays that are celebrated unanimously, and then others that people of different countries just celebrate at different times.
Yep, for sure. A couple more things before I let you go. And I know we've been going on a bit, but did you see recently that Bellator announced a Grand Prix heavyweight tournament? Just a number of the names. Fedor is in it, Matt Mitrione, Roy Nelson, Frank Mir, King Mo, Rampage Jackson, Chael Sonnen. I think that's it. I might be missing one. Did you hear about that?
Actually, no, I did not.
What are your thoughts? So again, they're doing throughout 2018. They're doing an 8-man heavyweight tournament over a number of different events, and the winner of the tournament at the end of the day will be the new Bellator heavyweight champion.
Okay, well, it makes sense, and I see that's how they're doing the tournament format by just doing it over a series of shows, so that they can do like a progression of brackets. Knowing that they have to have a minimum number of days. So So I think that's great. I mean, the one thing I do like about Bellator is that they've been very creative in doing things, and because a lot of folks do like seeing that tournament format. I think that was one of the biggest novelties on top of just seeing different disciplines going against each other. But the other novelty was seeing one guy go through 3 other opponents in a given evening. That's just not an easy task to do. You might win your match, but in the process of winning your match, you might have broke your hand, or you might have got a cut over your eye, or something like that, or just the fact that you look like you got pulled through a knothole backwards. Not an easy task to do.
Sure. And I think the biggest criticism, I mean, I like the Bellator tournament a lot. I think the biggest criticism is just the fact that it's a heavyweight tournament, yet 4 of the 8 competitors are natural light heavyweights. We have Chael Sonnen is in it. He's fought at both middleweight and light heavyweight. We have Rampage Jackson. He's always been at light heavyweight. Ryan Bader is the current light heavyweight champion there. Fedor has been, well, he's a heavyweight, but there's 4. Oh yes, King Mo. So half of the tournament, it's a heavyweight tournament, yet half not natural heavyweight. So.
Yeah, well, Ryan Bader was another one of the wrestlers from Arizona State University.
Yeah, they're all talented fighters, just the size a little smaller.
Yeah, there's definitely some size differences. And like I said, that the fact that there's some lighter weight heavyweights, and it'll make for a good night. I'm sure everyone will be, as that whole tournament series progresses. You just simply got to look at, okay, who do I have to face first, and prepare myself properly for that opponent, and know that, I don't know, I would imagine there's got to be at least a month and a half probably in between these tournaments. Are you aware of that? Or
They don't know. No, it's not out yet, but they're doing, I think, one fight every month or so, beginning at
I'd
January,
say probably
February.
a month and a half apart. Or because usually if they're doing something like that, if someone gets hurt or whatever, it's a minimum of 30 days. So I would think that just to be at a safe margin, a 6-week type of margin would be pretty safe. 6 weeks to win. But the course of a year, they could easily knock something like that off.
Yep,
and it would be something that people would be looking forward to. And there's a point in time that when you go back to the beginning of the Ultimate Fighting Championships, people could tell you at any point in time who the current champion was, because they were only running I think they were running 3 shows a year, every 4 months. I think it was a show, and you knew who the champion was at that point in time, but now, because they run so many shows every month, and then you have the Ultimate Fighter show on, and everything else. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, it's marketing geniuses, but they got the Fight Network, and they got the Fight Pass, and then they got just the ongoing pay-per-views, both domestically and abroad. There's a lot going on.
Yeah, certainly. Too much MMA in a way. Interestingly about Bellator, we've seen a lot of UFC Hall of Famers, fellow Hall of Famers, with yourself. I know he's not a Hall of Famer, but Dan Henderson, Hoist Gracie has been over at Bellator fighting and as an ambassador. Randy Couture, he hasn't fought there, but he's at meet and greets, and he's working with Scott Coker and Bellator. We've seen it's an interesting trend. A lot of Hall of Famers have gone over to Bellator either to fight or just as an ambassador. Tito Ortiz as well. Is there any particular reason we haven't seen you, as a Bellator ambassador? You've stayed loyal in a way. I know you're not affiliated with the UFC, or at least I don't think you are, but you've stayed loyal in the sense that you haven't gone to their main rival and started working with them. Is there any reason for that, or is that just not an opportunity you've had?
Just to kind of clue you in on one thing, I did do it when that match was announced between Ken and Hoist. I actually got...
You did the Fight Pass thing, right?
What's that?
You did some sort of interview / video, or is that not what you're talking about?
I actually reached out and spoke to Scott Coker.
Okay.
To say, was this match going to... I was going to try to make a match happen one way or the other. I said I would like to offer up my service to be one of your special play-by-play color commentators. I go, and what better person to be than someone that actually has shared a cage with both men? And I go, I'd even go so far as to say that I would even take on the winner or the loser, or give you simply a came up blue light 2-for-1 special.
And what happened after that?
No, it just did not materialize.
Any reason for that?
What's that?
I just said, was there any reason? I mean, did you just not come to a certain agreement? Was Bellator not interested for whatever reason?
Bellator's rationale was that they did not see any real merit in this eclectic senior / masters division.
That's interesting. Knowing Bellator, I would think they would be all over that.
Well, let's see. If you're going to allow guys wearing luchador-style masks going out to your cage at the end of the day, I think that, I don't see where that would be so far-fetched. Someone will eventually do more of a Masters type of division where they might be seeing all guys over 40 years of age or something like that. That they'll start putting into a certain category. And I think that the inevitability, it will happen. Almost all sports do have some type of a Masters division to it.
And that's what Vitor Belfort, wanted.
And I think that will happen eventually in mixed martial arts.
Very cool. I think you're probably right. Vitor Belfort talked about it, and I think a lot of people... The thing is, we see look at Fedor Emelianenko. He shouldn't be fighting guys like Matt Mitrione. And, he got knocked out brutally, and it's tough to watch, but he should be fighting guys, closer to his age and closer to right. the experience he has had, and he's been around forever. Again, he shouldn't be fighting top-level fighters like Matt Mitrione, so I would agree.
I think, just for your listeners, I started my career back in 94, just before turning 37 years of age. And no one usually starts a career at that age. They usually start looking at exiting. But that's when opportunity presented itself, and then to basically go for 20 years beyond that, I really doubt if anyone will ever come close to that, especially when you look at the sheer number of matches. That won't happen. The fact that then when you look at me, well, I don't have cauliflowered up ears. My nose still sits in the center of my face, and teeth, although crooked, they've always been crooked. They're original, and you can still have a somewhat intelligent conversation. So, I've wanted to storm well for being one of only 4 men in the world that have over 100 cage fights.
And last thing for you, Dan, you were over in Phoenix over this past weekend, and I saw on your social media that you were doing some sort of press conference with, I believe it was Shannon Rich. What was that all about? What was the press conference about?
It was pertaining to a bare-knuckle boxing match that Shannon Rich was supposed to be involved with against a bare-knuckle boxer by the name of Bobby Gunn that has, all these different types of credentials to him. And I was brought on board for a couple of different reasons, but it had nothing to do with the actual fighting portion of it. But there was a press conference that took place. The actual fight show was supposed to take place, I think, whatever that Friday night was, and our press conference took place on that Thursday, just to let people know that this fight was not going to take place, and all the reason was because that Bobby Gunn backed out at the last second.
Interesting.
And literally, even one of the big people, I've just scratched my head real. I'm trying to think of what was his, Joe Mack. Okay, Joe Mack was the person who really wanted this press conference to take place, because he had actually been with Bobby Gunn for, I guess, quite a bit of his career, and just really wanted the truth to be known that, Bobby Gunn is not at all what people think he is, or that his credentials or his title even means a hill of beans. So he basically just got up there and kind of just cited fact after fact after fact, and totally did not want any really involvement at all with Bobby Gunn anymore. But it just, like I said, for whatever all reasons, but like I said, he stated all, and that's the reason I was there with Joe Mack and Shannon Rich, and a number of other people and press that actually came into, they asked different types of questions. So
excellent. Well, Dan,
that might be one of the events that may eventually take place in either the state of Arizona or actually on one of the other Native American lands somewhere inside, obviously, the United States.
Awesome. Well, Dan, we've been going on for quite a while. I think we're reaching about 45 or plus minutes. Thank you very much for the time. It's been great to catch up with you. Before I let you go, let my audience know where they can find you all over social media. And if there is anybody you would like to thank or give a shout out to, the floor is yours.
I just say that the best place is to be just going to my website at www.dansevern.com. And once again, that's www.dansevern.com. All of my social media platforms are listed there. And rest assured, even though that you may not see me inside of a cage doing an MMA match anytime soon, rest assured that I will still be active doing something and being a part of mixed martial arts, being a part of professional wrestling, and all of the other things that I do with first responders. That's one of the proudest aspects that I could claim is the work I do with law enforcement, corrections, air marshal, border patrol, and ultimately military.